think that many of us do know exactly what did happen a few hours ago, and that is about USA tying with England 0-0. Many of us thought that USA was going to lose, that they're going to be beaten 2-0 because supposedly England is going through a golden generation with England because they have players like Bellingham, Foden, Grealish, there's Kane also in the mix. They have many youngsters within this England squad, but guess what happened? USA showed up against England and we have tied 0-0. Am I saying that USA have put out a masterclass and that USA they basically won against England? No, it was at the end of the day it was 0-0, but we did not expect to see this. We did not expect USA to put out a performance like this. Again, am I saying that this is a masterclass and that we were so superior against England? No, I'm just saying that we were very leveled with an English team that has been at their very best over the past 2 years. That is a big deal because if we look at USA and their squad and the age of these players, they're so young, younger than the English squad, and the fact that this American team was able to compete at this level, that is a huge deal, my friends. Like, we have to really take notice what's actually going on here, and I hope that every person that is tuning in right now and usually watches soccer like every 3 to 4 years only because USA is playing, like if you're one of those people, please take a moment and realize what is actually going on with this country and the amount of talent the US actually has. Like, you should be on board with this movement. Like, I understand that maybe American football is your favorite sport, maybe that basketball is your favorite sport, but I think that you should really start to analyze, start to take notice what this US men's national team is and what it represents. This is a team that can go a very, very long way, and it shows us that they are in the correct path. Look, we started with Serginho Dest, with Zimmerman, with Ream, with Robinson, McKennie, Tyler Adams, Musa, Wea, Wright, Christian Pulisic, all of these players, and like 98% of these players are under the age of 24, 25 years old. They're a very young team and a very solid competitive one. And then if we look at the attacking activity, this is a graph that shows the amount of attacking activity that England and USA had. USA is at the bottom with the blue bars, and then we have England with the green bars. They're almost the exact same thing in terms of level. Both of them saw the exact same amount of opportunities. The reason why I'm adding so much emphasis on this and why this is so important is because, again, before this, everyone was doubting the US. Everybody thought, and especially the English fans, they thought that England was going to go cruising against USA. They were probably so confident that they were going to beat USA 2-0, 3-0, only because there was a couple of MLS players, or because these players were just too young. They're not ready. They don't know what it's like to compete at a World Cup. But you look at this, USA were able to put their heads up and say, this is not going to be an easy game for the English fans. And remember when I did say that the midfield has to be a very important area that the US has to focus on? Like, the only way the US can compete against England would be in the midfield. Remember when I said that? USA did exactly that. We were dominant in the midfield with Musa, McKennie, and Tyler Adams. They were overpowering what England had on the field, which was Mason Mount, Sterling, Saka, Bellingham. They had Rice, they had also Harry Kane dropping deeper to really try and control the midfield, but players like Tyler Adams, players like McKennie, players like Yunus Musa were not going to allow England do their thing. They were physical, they were able to take the ball away extremely quick, and I'm very happy for these three players because the MMA is showing exactly who they are to the world, not even at CONCACAF, but they're showing it to the world at the World Cup stage. So I do want to shout out a couple of players because we do have multiple players within this starting 11 that played very well, which is Serginho Dest. I think that Serginho Dest had a wonderful game. Do I think that it was top class and like he was performing as like the best right back in the world? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that Dest improved on top of what he was before. Defensively, he was really solid, taking care of Sterling, taking care of Luke Shaw. Another player that I also don't want to talk about is Robinson. Robinson always does what he does best, which is to receive the ball and to attack and move forward with a lot of force. What a game by Robinson. And then we talk about, again, like I've said, the MMA, especially with Tyler Adams. Tyler Adams was always there to recoup the ball away. Every time Zimmerman was on a 1v1 or Ream was on a 1v1, Tyler Adams was always that second man to pair up with either of these two center backs to take the ball away from either Kane or Mount or Sterling or Saka. He was like your partner in crime for every player in the squad. So Tyler Adams was hustling. He knew what he needed to do and he executed so hard on the field. Another player that I'm really impressed on is Yunus Musa. I think that Yunus Musa had an amazing game. Many are going to be talking about Tyler Adams. I understand that, but Yunus Musa also had a very important role because I did discuss in the previous video that this US men's national team is a great team, but we need a player that can create when they receive the ball from high key areas, right outside the box, which could be Gio Reyna. Yunus Musa is not necessarily someone like that. Yunus Musa is someone who enjoys to receive the ball like in their own box and then likes to run and progress the ball forward. But Yunus Musa took the responsibility to also act like Gio Reyna by receiving the ball in high key areas next to Christian Pulisic and to create for the front three. Yunus Musa did what he was not so, I would say, recognizable with, but he did what he needed to do. And then Christian Pulisic had an amazing game. Christian Pulisic also hit the crossbar one time, and I'm like, oh my god, like that was so close. We could have made it 1-0 very early in the game when he found that opportunity. And that opportunity that he did find, if it wasn't for how the US were collectively attacking, Christian Pulisic would have never hit the crossbar. So we have to also appreciate what happened 10 seconds before that. Serginho Dest was dropping bodies. McKennie was dropping bodies. Players like Timothy Weah was also dropping bodies, just really slicing England's defense in half in order for Christian Pulisic to find that opportunity. So it was a great overall collective performance. And I remember going into that second half, I'm like, okay, when is USA going to be making some changes? I think that we do need to refresh our squad, but let's make the correct substitutions, right? I was thinking that. And then I remember Greg Berhalter saying, okay, on the 77th minute, I'm going to call Aronson first. A couple of minutes later, we're going to put Shaq Moore. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Shaq Moore, are you serious? Like, is Moore really going to come in for Serginho Dest and then try to take care of Grealish? Because Grealish came in there fresh in the second half. Like, he was not in the starting 11. So that made me very nervous. And then we had Reyna coming in on the 83rd minute. Finally, we saw Gio Reyna. We thought that Gio Reyna was going to be having a much bigger role in this team, and especially within this match. But Gio Reyna has been substituted barely, and he has only played a total of 7 to 8 to 10 minutes in the World Cup so far, after USA have played a total of 2 games. Hopefully, Gio Reyna can play a bigger role against Iran. And then we saw Sargent come in on the 83rd minute. I'm like, okay, so these substitutions, they were okay. I don't think that they were the most ideal. I wanted to see Serginho Dest continue to play because he was having a great game. But I understand right now that I think about it, because we have to remember that you look at the type of intensity that England were bringing out to USA. You see the amount of fouls that was going on the pitch. I don't think that Greg Berhalter wanted to really take that risk of having Dest find that second yellow card, because Serginho Dest was already on a first yellow card from the first game that USA did play. The same thing with Weston McKennie, which is another reason why Greg Berhalter took down Weston McKennie and put in another player like Aronson, because McKennie and Dest had a yellow card already, so he did not want to take that risk because he needs these players in the long run. We do not know just how far US is going to go in the World Cup. And I remember seeing Serginho Dest like very pissed when he was about to sit on the bench. He was asking like the staff, he's like, why do you guys take me out? What is the reason for? Like, I want to play. Like, I know I'm having a good game. I want to continue to play, improve myself. So I understand that when you are at the World Cup stage and when you're playing very well, you never want to get out. You never want to get out the pitch, but it was only for the best of Serginho Dest. Most likely because of what he has done against England, he will be starting and play hopefully a full 90 minutes against Iran. But dude, like, I can't believe that USA have done it. Like, I know that I feel like I'm over exaggerating. You could say that, Kevin, you know, you're over exaggerating. It's 0-0. It's against England. Come on now. But we have to remember where we came from. Like a month ago, everyone was doubting USA. Everyone thought that USA were not going to come out with a point, not even bother having 3 points. And we competed, and the more I think about it, the more we think about like these players and what they did on the pitch. Like, every player played well. Like, I know that I named a few players like Christian Pulisic, Musa, Tyler Adams, Dest, Robinson, but like another player, McKennie, right? Let's talk about McKennie. McKennie had a great game. He had a total of 5 passes into the final third, and he was having a lot of fun on that right side in the first 45 minutes, building with Weah, building with Serginho Dest. McKennie was almost acting like a right winger. We saw basically Weah invert himself centrally way more and having McKennie take on that right side. Very interesting choice, but we see this all the time. And, you know, usually a player like McKennie, you compare him to Weah, you would expect that Weah would take on the right flank and really just stay there because of his speed, his pace. But McKennie did what he had to do, and he did amazing by taking down 1 to 2 players, making those glorious passes, really punishing England in the first 45 minutes. So it was amazing and entertaining to see. MMA truly did stand out. And the more I think about it, right, as I go on and make this video, it's really hard to break away from the MMA right now, because I know that we talked about that Aronson should be starting, Gio Reyna should be starting. Okay, when we talk about those two players, where do they play? Because the MMA, they're performing. Like at the end of the day, if you perform at the world stage, why would you want to break a trio like this? You could break the front three, because right now we don't really have a set front three that is, I would say, like accountable, like knowing that they could deliver. Like right now, when we have players like Christian Pulisic, Haji Wright, and well, we do not know if they can deliver in the next game. It's not for sure. With the MMA, we could say that there's security that they can perform. But with like Wright, for example, Haji Wright did not really do anything. I felt like USA were in a way playing with 10 men yet again in the second game in a row. So the US is really missing that number 9, that striker. I think that USA still played well. I'm not trying to shame on Haji Wright, because he is a player that, you can see that he tries his best, but it is not enough. I feel like USA can do so much more damage on the field if we had a real number 9, like if we had a Harry Kane or a Lewandowski or a Luis Suarez. If we had something very similar to that, I'm not talking about in terms of level, but something similar to that, close to that level, maybe a level below, USA can be so much more dangerous. But here's how I want to end this video. We look at this US team and we can say that US have came out, they have showed up, and they did what they had to do. It was a wonderful performance, and I hope that Greg Berhalter can say whatever we did against England, when it comes to the intensity, when it comes to the 1v1 battles, when it comes to creating those opportunities, really finding those small tight opportunities that we see between the center backs and the full backs, really making those passes. Let's bring that to Iran. Win against Iran, win 2-0, win 3-0, win 4-0, really punish them. I do not care if Iran scored 2 goals against Wales. It does not matter, because the US is different to Wales. They're just different in terms of talent, in terms of individual players. The US is better than Wales. It does not matter what Iran did. We should not be afraid. The US should go into that game against Iran, score 3 goals, score 4 goals, with Christian Pulisic starting, with Wea hopefully finally taking on the number 9 position, having Gio Reyna on the right wing position. We saw him play very well in that position, and having the MMA in the midfield with Sergio Dest on the right side, with Robinson on the left, Ream and Zimmerman as a center back duo, with Matt Turner, the wall behind the defense. If we can just put out that starting 11 against Iran and really come out with the exact same intensity, USA will win, and we will go into the next round, and then we'll see who we face after that. Hopefully could be the Netherlands. I do not want to face Ecuador. I'd rather face the Netherlands. And so let's do this, right? Let's continue to play in a very inspiring and entertaining way and get the result. That will be wrapping up today's American Dynasty video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.